located on the north wall of the legislative chambers. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What's that?
We'll begin with the agenda for the Douglas County Board of Equalization. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Duda, Commissioner Kraft, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Tusha.
Here.
Madam Chair.
Here. Item A, approval of the minutes of Board of Equalization meeting held Tuesday, December 6, 2011. And item B, call for a meeting and set Tuesday, January 10, 2012 as a date for hearing of certified assessment corrections reflecting the addition of omitted property to the tax rolls or increased value on property.
Motion for A and B.
Any questions or comments? Please vote.
Motion passes.
Citizen comments. Is there anyone here wishing to speak to the Board of Equalization about an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to resolutions. There are 3 resolutions.
Approve and adjourn.
I am going to ask that one CAC be removed. I have to abstain because it's a relative, CAC 11270. So if we could just take that one separate. The motion is to approve resolutions D minus the one CAC, E, and F.
Motion approve and adjourn.
Oh, no, not yet. Please vote.
Commissioner Rogers. Motion passes.
And now the resolution D, item CAC 11270.
For the approval and adjournment.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Just a moment, please. Okay.
Please vote.
Motion passes.
The agenda, we'll move to the agenda for the Douglas County Board of Corrections. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Duda, Commissioner Kraft, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Tusha. Madam Chair.
Here, item 1, approval of the minutes of the Board of Corrections meeting held Tuesday, November 15, 2011.
Motion approved.
Any questions or comments? Please vote.
Motion passes.
Item 2, citizen comments. Is there anyone in the chamber wishing to speak to the Board of Corrections about an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to item 3, report from the Department Corrections Director, Dr. Foxall.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You have in front of you the monthly report for November 2011. I'll start out with the Administrative Services section. Department of Corrections continues as we move further down the track in the fiscal year. Department of Corrections continues to operate under budget. So it's still a good thing, and we continue to keep close oversight of those numbers. The City of Omaha has paid 90% of their invoices through September 2011. They've paid audited invoice balances through June of 2011, which puts their balance at $477,959, which continues on pace with what has been the past practice. So that's good to report. Community corrections in-house programs. House arrest staff placed 105 offenders during the month of November. Work release populations, 54 males, our average daily population, 54 males, and 9 females. Our population, a bit of an increase for work release, and that's good as well. Pretrial release, 134 offenders were placed in November. 848 individuals are currently being supervised with a 95% compliance rate. The more people we supervise on pretrial release, the fewer inmates we have in our facility. 6 offenders were referred for priority prosecution. That program is still an excellent program and continues to work well. 3,245 bed days have been saved this year to date through the priority prosecution program. I'm also pleased to announce that 4 individuals earned their GEDs while incarcerated at the Department of Corrections, either in community corrections or in the main facility. Just a quick note with accreditation in January, we will be in Phoenix, Arizona to present before the ACA Commission on Accreditation, and it is anticipated that we will be awarded a full accreditation for both the main facility and the Criminal Justice Center at that time. I'm going to skip down to, you see the personnel indicator there under enclosure 4. I'd like to save that for last. I'd like to move to our population data. The average daily population in the month of November was 1,204. I know I presented before you in the past, our population has been on an upswing. Our population is finally ticking down. In fact, we have 5 housing units closed at this time. We closed the 3rd female housing unit just before Thanksgiving. So the male and the female populations are down, and the pretrial populations, which have been elevated in previous months, appear to be ticking downward as well. The final enclosure that I would like for you to take note of is the medical unit conducted 1,542 intake screenings and 457 health assessments during the month of October. Sick call for the month of October is 1,661, which is over and above what our average numbers have been, but that's because our populations were so high during the preceding months. Those should be down a little bit in as much as our populations are down. That last bullet, 406 mental health assessments were conducted in October and 82 discharge referrals to outside agency. I'll call to your attention the fact that in previous months, our discharge referrals to outside agencies were somewhat low, but this has been a marked increase in discharge referrals to outside agencies, so that program is coming along very well, and I think that's a really important statistic to keep an eye on, and I imagine with the staff that we have now, you'll see that number increase in the successive months. Finally, I'm really pleased to announce that we have made several promotions. Before we get to that, let me just announce some of the other personnel activity that we've had, and then we'll talk about the promotions. I got a little bit ahead of myself. Excuse me. Commendations.
Mark,
yes, ma'am.
Before we do that, so it's the very last thing that we do, and there's no other business that
Questions?
takes away from that.
Sorry.
Let's do questions first.
Sure.
That's okay.
Sure.
Commissioner Tusha.
Good morning. I can't have a last meeting without asking questions. Oh my gosh. I tried. I really did.
I was moving quickly, too.
Yeah, I know you were. Skipping all around to try to confuse me, you know. But the blonde's not coming in today. On your staffing, when the 20 start December 26th, those 20 positions, are those including in the staffing results at the moment?
No.
No, okay,
No.
all right. Because I noticed that
That's why
your
the numbers are still
authorized
pretty
and your on
depressed.
hand is quite low,
Yes.
so I was just curious about that.
Yes.
Okay. Second of all, it's nice to see that the decreases in the housing units are, closed up, especially with the females, because that just kept increasing a little bit. My question for you, do you think it'll start increasing because of the winter months, or?
I would expect our numbers will continue to remain fairly low. It's
Really?
the time of the year, yes.
Okay.
We'll get a little bit of an uptick as the weather gets bad, and you'll see a few more people come in. But I think overall, our numbers will remain certainly lower than what they've been in the past few months.
That's a good thing. That's nice to see that. That'll be nice. The last one, and I know the overtime took a downward on the 1125, but I've also noticed that it's gradually increasing over the last few weeks, and I'd really like to see if we can, keep track of that. I'm sure holidays have thing to do with it and stuff, but with these 20 new employees that you're bringing on, will that help with the overtime, or will you have to have more with the training and stuff?
No, with the holidays, with the 20 new employees will certainly help the overtime considerably, but also having 5 housing units closed will also impact the overtime as well.
Okay, wonderful. Great job, and congratulations on the accreditation. That's great to hear. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Boyle?
Well, congratulations on the accreditation, too, seriously. I'm not a big fan of it, but you did a good job.
Thank you.
I think the holiday season has gotten us. Yeah, right. I do want to bring up something, and I don't need an answer now. You did answer it very well when we had an email from one of the persons who works in the lobby about what was going on there, and don't need a comment this morning, but I'd like to ask Kathy Kelly to follow up on it, and that is a permanent solution to what's going on there. It seems like there's a lot of people coming in, and when we were there several months ago, I observed one person operating 2 computers, and it just seems like we're asking for trouble with lots of IDs flying and so forth. But I'd just like to ask you to give us an update of what the permanent solution would be. If it's one more person, I think you need to let us know, and we'll see what we can do. And if you'd include Kathy Kelly on the emails, then we can get something moving. But I'm really impressed with where you're taking the Department of Corrections. I think you've got it on a wonderful path, and I'm really a big fan of yours, so keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we've done some different ad hoc things in the lobby, and we'll continue to work with that.
Good. Thank you.
So some days we peak, and it gets really busy. I think for the most part we've got a pretty good handle on that, but we remain in search of a permanent solution based on some of the discussions that we've had.
And if there's something we can do to help, we'd like to know.
Sure.
Thanks.
Mark, on the daily population, is there a way to put one more bullet to that, being who's been there the first time of that 1,204? Is it how many are there the first time? How many are there due to recidivism? Is there a way to track that at all?
That's a research question. It depends on how you measure recidivism. We have a lot of repeat traffic. Let me sit down with the staff and figure out how we can. Probably going to have to sit down with the staff and sit down with .com to figure out how we can track that.
Okay.
And Wayne Lovett, Roland, and we have some of that data. It's not impossible, I'll tell you that. It's just we're just going to have to figure out how to do it and get it out of the mainframe. So we can certainly. It depends on what you're looking for. If you just want to see, anybody that's. For example, if Mark Foxall's been to jail in 1999 and then he comes back to jail in 2011, do you want to see that, or do you want to see repeats within the year, repeats within the 2 years? Depends on how you measure recidivism, I guess is what
I think probably just if we start with just a year, just to see what we get.
Sure. Okay, I'll sit down with the staff and we'll figure that out.
Thanks. And no other questions or comments, so you can go to the personnel section.
Okay. At our last awards meeting, we presented several commendations to the staff. I'd like to recognize commendations for Officer Thomas Belton, who works in our day reporting center, Officer Wade Stevens, Jr., it's custody staff, licensed practical nurse Michelle Fickus, CCS. Also received a commendation. Our officers of the month were Officer Thomas Belton for the month of September and Officer Wade Stevens, Jr. for the month of October. And our employee of the third quarter licensed practical nurse, Michelle Fickus, and we continue to move forward with the award ceremonies. The nominations we're getting good nominations. Our awards committee sits down once a month and they review the nominations for commendations and officers of the month and employee of the quarters, so that program is going well. I'd also like to announce today our promotions to the rank of lieutenant and promotions to the rank of sergeant. You don't see the promotions to the rank of sergeant here because they were made in the month of December, but I've asked them to come as well so I could present the promotions to the board here. So I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Carmelita Rogers and Lieutenant David Aldridge. Lieutenant Carmelita Rogers, promoted from Correctional Officer 3 to Correctional Officer 4, dated the 15th day of November, 2011. Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
And Lieutenant David Aldridge was promoted from Correctional Officer 3 to Correctional Officer 4, dated the 16th day of November, 2011. Congratulations, David. And, of course, you have an opportunity to say anything to the board if you would like.
I'd like to thank you. I realize the budget crunch issues. I've talked, and I went to the meeting for the hiring freeze committee, and I'd like to thank all of you involved in letting that pass through. Thank you.
Thank you.
How many years of service do you each have? Just curious.
That'll be, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It'll be 17 for me in May.
Okay,
A little over 13.
great.
I'd like to say thank you as well, and hopefully we can help Dr. Foxhorn moving forward with his vision.
Great. We'd like to shake your hands.
Congratulations. It's good to see you.
Thanks a lot.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Congratulations. Thank you again, David. Thank you, Carmelita. Okay, I'd also like to introduce our two newest sergeants, Sergeant Moss and Sergeant Hendricks. David Moss was promoted from Correctional Officer 2 to Correctional Officer 3, dated 6th of December, 2011. Sergeant David Moss, congratulations, sir. And our final promotion for the month of December thus far, Sergeant Michael Hendricks, promoted from Correctional Officer 2 to Correctional Officer 3, dated the 7th day of December, 2011. Sergeant Hendricks, congratulations. And as with the lieutenants, if you'd like to say a few good words to the board, certainly welcome.
I'd like to thank you guys for allowing the opportunity to advance our careers here. And without you guys, this would not have been possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you as well. Like you alluded to, I think we're all really excited about the direction Corrections is headed, and it's good to be a part of it.
Good. Thank you.
Commissioner Tusha?
Gentlemen?
Thanks.
Thanks a lot for your service.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's Mark's idea. You got to run for a seat? Is that what you did?
And that's all I have for today. I'd just like to say thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to present these new promotions to the board. I think it's an exciting time for us as we continue to move forward. I anticipate Correctional Officer 2 promotions before the end of the year, so that's still remains on my agenda. I think we've made some good promotions. We've got new hires coming at the end of the month, so a number of different positive personnel moves, so and I'm pleased to announce those to you. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Tusha?
Mark, first of all, congratulations. Mark, I wanted to say thanks for including these in on our reports, and also having them come to us so that way we can put a name and a face together, and that way the board can have a chance to meet and congratulate every single one of them. So I want to say thank you for being able to do this, because I think it's very important. So I just appreciate that and hope you continue with that. Thank you.
Commissioner Boyle.
Well, I want to add my 2 cents too, because we had communicated about this ceremony, and after trying to figure out what to do to accommodate, it was scheduled to be at about the same time we're meeting. And so Dr. Foxall came up with the idea of what about bringing everybody over? And I said, boy, that's terrific. Okay. And we want to do more of this. So I appreciate your thinking of that. It was a really good thing to do because, as I said in my email to you, that it's a way to communicate to the employees that we know how important they are and that we respect the work that they do. And so this is a real tangible way of doing that. So I appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Morgan.
I just want to mention again that any time that you think it's important that we stop in or come down in an evening or whatever it is to see something, or there's something you feel we should be aware of, please let us know that. Several of us can come down and do that.
Okay, I will do that.
Even during the holidays. Thanks for the
Absolutely.
good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
And thank you for the service to the employees to Douglas County.
Okay. Happy holidays, everyone.
You too.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Please vote.
Motion passes.
Agenda for the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Duda,
Here.
Commissioner
Here.
Kraft, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Tusha, Madam Chair.
You voted no to adjourn.
He wants to reconsider it. He saw Don Klein and he wants to make him stay longer.
Commissioner Kraft changing from yes to no.
It's such a good crowd to do that in front of too. You know, we're all so forgiving.
Okay.
You can stay here. You can stay here if you want.
Thank you. I'm honored today. I should say more today than usual.
Okay. Wait a minute. I have the giggle now.
I'll vote no more.
Minutes and claims. The item A, approval of the minutes of Board of Commissioners meeting held Tuesday, December 6, 2011. Item B, approval of claims submitted for payment process through Tuesday, December 13, 2011. The complete listing is on file in the office of the County Clerk Comptroller. And item C, the .com exceptions presented by the County Clerk. And D, approval of resolution authorizing the Clerk Comptroller to make certain payments while the board is adjourned.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Please vote.
I'll make sure I get to that.
Motion passes.
The consent agenda, items A through N, for a total of 14 items. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Please vote.
Motion passes.
Citizen comments. Is there anyone wishing to speak to the Board of Commissioners about an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to public hearings. We have a public hearing on a resolution to approve the financing by the Hospital Authority Number 2 of Douglas County for the Nebraska Medical Center in the amount not to exceed $52 million. This is the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against this item? Joel Vander Veen is here from Kutak Rock if there are any questions or comments. Commissioner Duda?
Yeah, very briefly, what what are you spending? What's the $52 million for?
Yeah, sure. Joel Vanderveen, QTAC Rock Law Firm, 1650 Farnham Street. Madam Chair, Commissioner Duda, the $52 million is to finance an electronic medical record system at the Nebraska Medical Center, the hospital, which will also be used by UNMC physicians at their clinics located in Douglas County. And as you know, this is the public hearing for federal tax purposes only. The obligations to finance that system will be issued by Hospital Authority Number 2 of Douglas County, which is why your approval is required. And Jessica Gherkin from the hospital is also here to answer any questions if you need more details. To the extent that there are certain components of the medical record system that can't be financed with tax-exempt proceeds, additional capital items at the hospital might be thrown in to meet the $52 million goal for the financing.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kraft?
Yeah, this might be a question for Jessica, but it's something to think about. We want to have electronic records keeping at the Douglas County Health Center. And is there some way we could partner on this that could perhaps save us both money?
I'd be happy to let Jessica address that question. I suspect it's.
I realize it's a little late in the stream.
I suspect it's a larger question than she or I are authorized to address. But
Madam Chair, can I add on to that? Can I
just a second. Are you done, Commissioner Kraft?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Rogers.
I just want to add on his, and I guess help me understand where this goes into the whole infrastructure of electronic medical records. I mean, is this something, when you all get this, what does this feed into the infrastructure?
It's essentially a complete new system for patient care records at the Nebraska Medical Center, which is why it'll be used by UNMC physicians. Some smaller components would be used by UNMC as well, and the university, that is. But it is the system for managing patient care.
I mean, well, I guess you all have it set up, but I'm assuming there has to be some other tentacles outside of UNMC where this goes to help further the implementation just of electronic medical records as a whole. Am I wrong in that?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
You got the UNMC system, but I'm sure there's got to be other outlets that UNMC gets information from or feeds. So does this build into a bigger infrastructure of electronic medical records in the county or the area or the state?
Partners across the state will be tied into the system as I understand it. My understanding is anything but complete, and even I think there are partners in Northwest Missouri and Southwest Iowa. Is that correct? That will be tied into the system as well. Just as a technical matter of tax law and with respect to this financing, we'll only be financing the system to the extent that it's used within the boundaries of Douglas County.
Yeah, and I don't mean to direct the question at you I just basically, I'm directing the question okay, I feel like we're falling behind on this. And so I'm just curious in where it's going.
Okay. We'd certainly be happy to get in touch with you or Commissioner Kraft with any follow-up that might be appropriate.
Okay.
I think what might be appropriate for follow-up would be if we had a meeting with UNMC to see their plan of how they came up with and moved forward with to get to this point.
Okay.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, and then plus you and I visited about it. I think all the doctors' offices and branches out there are part of this whole system. You kind of touched on that. Would that be accurate? Away from the medical facility.
Yes, the clinics of UNMC Physicians, and UNMC Physicians is an organization partnered with UNMC, the university, and the Nebraska Medical Center, the hospital, that employs physicians that teach at the university and practice at the hospital. And they have clinics located around the county, and so they'll be tied into that patient care system. let me know whether I should get in touch with you or you with me.
If you would
to follow up.
work with Kathy Kelly from our office, our Chief Administrative Officer,
Sure.
just for times at the first. It doesn't have to be right away, just after the holidays, just so we can sit down and have a discussion. Because I know, as Commissioner Rogers says, we touched on this some time ago and really didn't move on anything with it. And so now that you're this far ahead, maybe it would just be good to learn how you did it.
Sure.
Okay.
Be happy to. Thank you.
Commissioner Kraft?
I don't want to delay this, but I know once we approve this, the incentive to reach a negotiation or try to tap into your system is lessened.
Thank you.
So what is the time sensitivity of this?
There is time sensitivity. The goal is to close the financing before the end of the year, and for those of us working on it before the holidays, before Christmas at least. The Hospital Authority, number 2, has a meeting scheduled for Friday the 16th to approve it, and the financing will be structured as a lease obligation with First National Bank of Omaha and on a drawdown basis. The system is in the process of being implemented, the electronic medical record system currently, with it to be live for different locations next spring and early summer. So it is well down the road, and to not grant this approval would prevent to closing before the end of the year.
Thank you.
Okay. I will move for the approval, but
it's still public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anything else? Any other comments or questions? Anyone else wishing to speak during the public hearing? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing.
I will move for the approval, but we still want to talk with UNMC or the Nebraska Medical Center to see how we can partner or how we can tap into your system. If we tap in is the wrong word, but I think you know what I mean. Piggyback on. There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Message received.
Learn from your advancement, basically.
Please vote.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
very
being
much.
here.
Thank you.
We will move to the committees. First one being the Finance, Commissioner Kraft and Morgan.
The report is as presented, and we continue to meet regarding the finances and looking at valid solutions to our problems. Thank you. PJ?
That's just fine.
There's 2 items. One is the resolution authorizing budget transfer of $350,000 from the Bridge Fund to the Bridge Construction Fund, and approval to close the Bridge Construction Fund as of December 31st, 2011.
Joe, have anything you want to say?
Yeah, this is just a little house cleaning. There's an old bond fund out there that had some money drawn against it. So we want to refund that, and then it's at the point where that project's done, and then so bring the fund back up to 0 and then close it out. So it's kind of just clean up and housekeeping.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes.
Next item is the appointment of the candidates to the Douglas County Audit Committee. There's 2 before you. Please vote.
Commissioner Morgan?
He's touching his button, but nothing's happening.
It's on.
Try this one up here. Yeah, push that top one. Just hold it. Hold the top one.
Motion passes.
Okay. We'll move to administrative services. There's one, Commissioner Tusha.
Now, even without the microphone, you can still hear me, but now it works. Okay, on this one, this is a resolution to approve Douglas County participation in the City of Omaha study of a potential 311 citizen relationship management system. And I do want to make clear on this, there is no dollars being spent by Douglas County.
I'm sorry, I was looking at, was that this for this?
No, I want to follow up.
Oh,
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay,
You're
okay,
fine. Go
don't
ahead.
take mine. No, actually, you can have it. This is just a study to see if it's feasible for the city and the county to work together on a 311 system, to see if Douglas County even needs one. It's just, the company is Stern Consulting, and they're just going to do just a little follow-up with different areas of Douglas County, like I said, just to see if we even should participate in it or if it's even feasible for us. And like I said, this is a study. There's no agreement. There's no signature. There's no dollars. It's just currently just a study at the moment. So upon Claire's remarks, I would make for approval.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
If I may, I just want to reiterate what Commissioner Tusha just said. I really have very little desire for the county to be involved in a 311 system. I mean, we all know how broke we are. You know, we wrestle every meeting with where can we save a nickel. And I don't intend to, for the county to particularly become a part of this. But the mayor's office did ask, I ran into Steve Oltmans this morning, and there is no expenditure on the part of the county. They're paying for it. They want to see if the county should be a part of it. I'm sure they will come up with saying, yes, the county should be a part of it. As soon as we have to put any money up, my support is probably going to vanish. But I am willing to go along with it for now to see what they come up with. Thank you.
Go ahead.
And on that, to your response, I have a tendency to agree with you. I can understand the city having a 311 system because everybody thinks of the city and they call the city for questions. We do get phone calls, but I agree that I don't think that the county, my personal point of view is I don't think the county, it would warrant us to spend the dollars and be involved with this. But as I said, you know, as long as there's no dollars spent and at least we can do a study on this, I'll go along with the study. But I agree with you. I don't think at a future date I will be voting for this. Thank you.
Commissioner Boyle.
Well, I share the concerns that Commissioners Duda and Tusha said, but from a little bit different angle. I'm concerned about a 311 system that would dial into someone to ask questions about property taxes to you know, the assessor or to the treasurer, and because the answers that we're giving have legal consequences. You know, what's the deadline to pay this and so forth? If that gets botched up, you know, we've got problems. Where do I file my homestead exemption? That sort of stuff. And it's not like, you know, I've got, you know, my snow didn't get shoveled off my street. That's a little bit lower level of problem. So I have the same reluctance, but it's really on a level of giving out advice that has legal consequences, and that's the distinction for me. So I'm reluctant to. I'm not sure. I'll vote for this, but I'm not sure if I will in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Boyle, and I share that same concern, but do want to put out a special thank you to Councilman President Mulligan, because he really pressed on the city side for them to talk with us on the county side in moving this forward, and was instrumental in the no cost to the county for at least looking at it. So that's a pretty good deal having them look at it at no cost. So thank you, Councilman President Mulligan.
See if he can work on that juvenile grant now.
Yeah, will do. There was a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passes.
The Child and Youth Services, there's just a note there that January 3rd, the meeting has been canceled, the 2012 January 3rd, and the next one will be Tuesday, February 2012. Next is the Criminal Justice. Commissioner Boyle, there's 2 items, I think. Yep.
I don't have my, thank you. Yeah. Let's see, where am I? Here we are. Okay. All right, first, the if Mark would please step to the podium, I'd appreciate it, just because I want to sing your praises, Mark. Don't fall down. Say that.
Run down here, Mark.
Yeah,
Run down here.
Right.
And Mark gets recorded,
That's
so
right.
we can't take it back.
That's right. I asked Mark at the podium really to ask him for a snapshot of what's taking place. This is a really important move for Douglas County and has far-reaching, very positive implications for our 911 center. And I'd just like him to give us a snapshot. He made an excellent presentation at our criminal justice meeting a couple days ago. So, Mark, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Well, thank you very much. Mark Connery, Douglas County Chief of Communications. There's just so much going on right now, and it's a little bit hard to keep them separated. 2 weeks ago you passed, or was it last week? I can't remember. You passed the regionalization study. So that's going to be the study that determines how much we can share resources and possibly share cost and maybe even share manpower. That's going real well. My understanding is that Washington County has a agenda item on their commissioners to approve taking part of that study, and several communities around here are opting to join that study. So I just want to make sure that you understand that study is going on, and now we're faced with resource sharing. We have a computer-aided dispatch system that is we implemented it in 1995 when 911 was part of the city. So it has run its life cycle and has been very, very good. Sarpy County had a problem right around Y2K, and at that point they joined in sharing our CAD system. So what we found out is that our CAD system now is at end of life. There's no more upgrades. There's no more real changes to the hardware that will keep it operating. So we've been doing some fact finding and seeing what our options are. We were trying to get various budgetary quotes to see what had to happen. We received several. They range from highs of $2.3 million, and we received one from our current CAD vendor, which allowed us to upgrade our licensing, and we would be able to get on a new platform for about $895,000. So needless to say, the $895,000 upgrade was probably the best option that we had. We went to purchasing and the legal office and made sure that this was acceptable. This was going to be an acceptable business practice. Yes, we can upgrade the licenses. It's an upgrade, and therefore did not have to go out for bid. Now, I have to say at this point that I really appreciated the input I had from my staff, and I have to give kudos to Teresa Urick from the county attorney's office, because we've been through so many negotiations over the years, and when that $895,000 bid came in, it actually originally came in at $1.6 million. So by sitting down and being doggedly determined to get the best deal we could, Teresa from the county attorney's office just was she's just invaluable to go through this. And so I appreciated my staff that found ways to cut costs. And then as we got there, we realized Sarpy County was attached to this, so we went to Sarpy County. We got Sarpy County to look at it, and they agreed that this would be the best project. So what you have in front of you today is an interlocal agreement between us and Sarpy County to upgrade the CAD system, and it designates the cost sharing that we have. Now, the cost sharing is based on the usage of the CAD system. We have 24 licenses, and they have roughly 10 licenses. So it's going to be the percentage of licenses which will determine your cost sharing. So right now it's 29.4% for Sarpy County's portion of this, and then basically they're going to pay 30%, we're going to pay 60%, and then we're going to use the wireless and the wireline surcharge to pay for everything. So that's where we're at. Sarpy County has agreed. There's the interlocal agreement, which we would probably prefer to approve first before we commit the money. It's on the agenda for Sarpy County this afternoon, and so that interlocal agreement specifies everything. And then the second agenda item you have in front of you is to approve for the upgrade of the CAD system, at which time purchasing would sign the change in the contract. So that kind of highlights where we were, where we're at, and where we're going. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Tusha?
First of all, Mike, thank you for having a meeting on this, and I appreciate you bringing this to us. And Mark, I won't ask you any questions. I got all my questions out of the way at the meeting, so you don't have to worry about that. I just want to say congratulations to you and Teresa and the rest of your staff for the awesome job that you did on negotiation and also bringing this forward to us and all the hard work you did with this. And I just want to say thank you for that. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to add my 2 cents too. I tend to ask a lot of questions sometimes, and I think I always hope that they aren't viewed as criticism, but really as trying to get to the bottom of things and get some answers. So Mark has put up with my grilling at times, and I appreciate his sense of balance and sense of humor. And he's done a terrific job, a spectacular job, and this is just another indication of his skills. And I really appreciate his dedication to the 911 Center and the work that he's done. And it's interesting that he throws off some of the compliments to Teresa Urick and others. But it is a real team effort. He's got great relationships with Washington, Sarpy, and all the whole round area. So we're fortunate to have you helping us with this, and I really appreciate the work you put into this. This is a real successful effort. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Was there a motion and a...
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Please vote.
Motion passes.
Mark's thinking I'm going to bring up things around Christmas all the time.
We could pass a resolution that Christmas was all year round. And then the second agenda item.
Yes, let's see here. That is the, where am I? We're down here, next page. Excuse me. I'm on my computer here. This is to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of a maintenance upgrade to the Motorola computer-aided the CAD at an approximate cost of $1.7656 to be paid by 911 wire, line, and wireless surcharge funds, and as a part of a sharing agreement with Sarpy County.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Please vote.
Motion passes.
We'll move to the Human Resources Committee, the weekly personnel report as presented. The legislative issues, the legislation to remove counties as the payer of last resort for the treatment and rehabilitation of juvenile law violators. Is there a motion to approve that?
So move.
Second.
Any questions or comments? I know it's a long shot, but you know what? Give it a shot. Please vote.
Makes a good point.
That's right. That's right.
Motion passes.
There is one other item, and we actually met with our Douglas County Senator delegation yesterday and had a very good meeting about legislative items. And one of them that was brought up was the Commission on Public Advocacy. And this provides the assistance of counsel for indigent person and is funded by a fee of $3 for every filing in county or district court. Douglas County is rarely the beneficiary of such services and will consider legislative authority to have these monies returned back to the county to help defray our costs for indigent defense. What I'm asking today is just to give the nod that we can go ahead and move forward with this. We'll have the resolution on in January, but this gives Rick Kubat the okay to start working on this and our lobbyists to work on this issue. Commissioner Duda?
Somebody should say a little bit more about what we're doing here with this.
We're trying. The last statement is that what the $3 that's put forth for every filing in the county or district court, we're asking that $3 be brought back to the county to defray our costs, because rarely do we use this Commission on Public Advocacy. That's a statewide commission for indigent support. Defense
but we're funding it at a pretty healthy rate.
Right. So we want the $3 that we put in to be brought back to our county.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Rogers?
I guess you have more, I'm just trying to, what's the difference between that and the public defender?
Really nothing.
If I can, the public defender is our own county indigent defense counsel. This Commission on Public Advocacy is a state office, and it's provided to assist other counties, oftentimes rural counties, in providing defense counsel on criminal cases. They're rarely in Douglas County, yet we probably fund 25 to 30% of their operations. Again, for everything filed in county or district court, there's a $3 fee on that, but they're rarely in Douglas County. This proposal would say, hey, we want to opt out of the Commission of Public Advocacy Services, and we'd like to keep our money here to defray our own costs. Because we're essentially using our public defender's office where the state office would go out to some other counties and provide assistance.
Okay.
Commissioner Boyle?
Well, an alternative, if this doesn't pass, would be to ask Mr. Riley if there was some way to bring one or two of these people into his office and be paid by that fund. Maybe that would be something that would relieve some of the pain. So that might be an option, and I think the group would probably be pretty interested. I'm on a committee that's meeting at the Bar Association about, and I'm really a misfit there, and because I don't do criminal law and really never have. But we're talking about representing indigents there, and so I'm in the room with the people who do these things. And anyway, so I can bring that up to them and see if they fall out of their chair or what they do. The next meeting's in mid-January.
Good idea. So anyway, if everyone's okay, we'll just have Rick continue to work on it and try to get some dollar figures as to what amount of money we're actually talking about, and then we'll have this back on the agenda for January 10th. Okay. Any other legislative items from anyone?
Somebody.
Oh. Yeah, come to the podium, please. And if you would state your name and address for the record.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, my name is Thalilia Alexander. I'm at 1031 Turner Boulevard, Omaha, Nebraska, 68105.
And what's your question?
Well, my question is, you had asked a question about opting out. What happens if you opt out to the people that you're not going to help anymore? Can I ask what's going to happen to them? Because you're asked to opt out.
Can I address that?
Please.
In Douglas County, you're either going to be assigned a public defender from Tom Riley's office, or if there's a conflict, you're going to be assigned court-appointed counsel. This Commission for Public Advocacy is primarily used in small towns when there's often conflicts of interest and there's no attorneys in town that want to take the case, or it's a complex case and they need a sophisticated criminal defense attorney to take the case. Fortunately, in Douglas County, we have a rather substantial market as far as the bench being able to appoint court-appointed counsel. So folks are going to be getting their attorneys in Douglas County if we opt out of this. It just, what we're doing is we're essentially helping to subsidize criminal defense costs for other counties outside of Douglas County with little benefit. This just allows us to retain our own money here in Douglas County.
So instead of helping the other counties, you just want to keep it in Douglas County, and it sounds like the benefits will still stay.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
ladies
you
and
for
gentlemen.
coming forward.
Thanks.
Could I say something?
Commissioner Kraft?
We need people to ask questions like that, and we appreciate it. So thank you.
No other legislative items. We'll move to item 3, discussion/action on the agreement with Kelly and Durham for lobbying services. This is an extension of the contract for an additional 5-year period. And you have all the terms in the contract of...
I'd so move for approval.
Second. Is Commissioner Tusha?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to Mike and Sean for all your hard work, your long hours, everything you do for us. I really, really appreciate it. I see that you put a cap on this and you're just asking for a slight increase in expenses. And I know this is not the money that you deserve, but we really appreciate what you do for us, regardless of the salaries. And maybe later on in the future, hopefully when things look good, then, you know, we can go from there with the dollar amount. But with you two, it doesn't matter whether we pay you this minimum amount or not. You're there for us, and you do all your hard work for us, and you're there when we need questions or anything, and you're down there lobbying for us. And I want to just say thank you from me personally. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I was trying to find the clause in here before we started the discussion that the 950 per month stays the same.
9,000. Well, see.
Well, it's $95
Yeah.
per hour, and then the 950 per month to defray the expenses is the same, and that there's no increase in the first year of 2012, but there's a $100 increase is all for the expenses in the months to follow, or years to follow. Commissioner Duda?
Thank you. I just wanted to say how pleased I am with the representation that we have. I think we saw this again yesterday with a great meeting with our delegation that our lobbyists helped set up. I'm pleased with the services that we receive from them. Thank you.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yeah, I'm echoing some of the same comments you've made, and I visit with some of the state senators. In fact, I'm meeting with one this afternoon, and get great feedback on you. And Mike, I'd like to compliment you on bringing Sean along, because people have a good respect for Sean and are appreciative of how he does his background and homework on the issues. So we're, as a board member of the Finance Committee, I just want to say thank you for holding the line on that amount at this time for the county, realizing where we are. So as Pam said, the same thing. Thank you very much for your service, and good luck this session. We expect great things.
Commissioner Boyle?
Well, I'd like to also make a comment. The Kelly firm has represented us for many, many years, and they have a real sense of history and perspective of what the county needs. Mike's a former county commissioner, and they're involved in politics. Kind of interesting, after I was interviewed by the World Herald, I started thinking about the different times that we've disagreed on issues, and we've disagreed on political candidates, and the Kellys even supported a Republican, a high profile one time that I didn't support. But anyway, they are really very good representatives of the county. The other thing that's really an unspoken factor in all of this is the effect of term limits on our legislation. Yesterday we met with several senators from the Omaha area, 2 of which I remember, I believe, maybe 3, are term limited out. And so some of the work that the Kellys do is They know who the candidates are. They visit with them. They talk with them. They talk about our issues even before they're elected. And that's something that we really don't have the ability to do, but they do that, and they know who's running and would represent our interests. So there's a lot of invaluables out there that we really don't see, and that's one of the important ones that really, truly, frankly, the lobbyists are the memory of the legislature, and so are the people who work on staff, because the senators will come and go as we do. So anyway, I want to add my 2 cents. I think this is they do an excellent job for us, and I think this is a good contract. And I believe there's been a motion and a second.
I think so. And I just want to add, too, a thank you to them for keeping the cost down, but to also piggyback on Commissioner Boyle's comment about having them down there during the time of term limits, because we have seen, even when people are, senators are there for their 2 terms, for them to be educated on what county government does and how what they do affects us takes a long process to educate, and to have lobbyists with that history down there and building those relationships, you hit it right on the head. That's really, really important. So thank you for your service to us. With that, please vote.
Motion passes.
Next is item 4, resolution approving the pay increases for the various Douglas County officials. This is for the public defender, register of deeds, and clerk comptroller, and the resolution is for 0011 for the next 4 years, setting it for the next 4 years. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Please vote.
Motion fails.
Okay, since the motion fails, is there a...
We did a lot of this last week while you were gone.
Oh. So on the table that failed was 0011. What would someone like to offer as?
I'll make a motion to freeze the wages of elected officials for the next 4 years.
To what?
Freeze it.
Commissioner Duda?
Thank you. I'm all for being tight and austere, although I will point out that nobody else has had their, other than ourselves. We have not frozen salaries of any of the other employees or chief deputies, and so you still got not only the creep up of the employees' salaries, but in this situation where we set some of the elected officials' salaries 2 years ago, now we come back and visit the other half now. I mean, we're not all on the same cycle. And I really think we ought to be trying to be a little bit consistent with what we did. Those elected officials whose salaries we set 2 years ago are getting pay increases every year for that 4-year period, I believe. And now we're coming to these people or these offices and freezing them. And so we're getting out of whack with ourselves. The elected officials that are on this cycle, their offices are not getting the increases that the elected officials who we set 2 years ago. And we really ought to strive to be a little more consistent. NACO does give guidelines for where we ought to be with these elected officials, and there really needs to be a little bit of parity or equity between them. And we have strived for this in the past, including like the public defender and county attorney, trying to keep them at least somewhat in the same ballpark. And if we freeze these for 4 years, we are getting further out of whack even with ourselves. I recognize that we're broke, but 0011 over the next 4-year period is not that much money. That really ought to be the compromise. I mean, I think the public defender ought to be getting a 2 or 3% increase here. So anyhow, we need to be aware of what we're doing here, and we are throwing these salaries out of whack by this action. Thank you.
Commissioner Boyle?
Well, I've thought a lot about this and what is the right thing, and I think it was really, for me, a real 50-50 issue, and after listening to Commissioner Duda, I think he's convinced me to ask for a reconsideration on that last vote. I think 0011, 4 years is probably too much for 0000. We did with the election commissioner, we did 0011, and actually I would have liked to have seen, some kind of cost of living. It'd be nice if we could do that for everybody. We can't. But I think 4 years at 0 is probably overreaching. So I'd like to ask for, being on the prevailing side, a reconsideration of that vote, and I will intend to vote yes on 0011.
Just for clarification before we move forward, was there a motion and a second for the 0000?
Oh, there was.
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Kraft, seconded by Commissioner Morgan, for a freeze for 4 years.
Okay, so that's the motion that's on the table. Commissioner Morgan,
Well, maybe we'll take that one up and then go from there.
would you want to speak on
The
0000?
only thing I would say to Commissioner Duda is, I agree with you on the public defender. I supported that the last time, trying to keep that at the same level, and would, if you wanted to amend this for that, to have that increase for the public defender, I'd go along with that. But maybe there'll be another motion after this or whatever. But I think it is important, and I said that last week also. So we can wait, or you can add that to it to give him that increase, the 1%.
Okay, so Commissioner Rogers, did you want to speak on the 0000?
Yeah, thank you. I think, I know this one won't pass, but I just want to put my thought out there for the next one. It'll pass, but to think about in seconds before we go to the next one. I think this year's budget is going to be one of, not of equal giving, but equal sacrifice. And I thought the board's 0-0 was definitely a sacrifice on our end. I think we definitely have to work that out with each department on what their sacrifice will be. I expressed my view last week that, I thought there was a kind of unwritten understanding we've always tried to keep with the elected officials. I think Commissioner Duda's point of fairness is there. I know what the money situation is. I think they need to know wholeheartedly. I mean, personally, I think you make it fair for them for what we did for the other positions. And I think with that understanding, they need to understand what they're dealing with their budgets. They're separately elected, and if they think they can accept this raise and keep the level of service, then they need to live up to that for themselves. So I just wanted to put that in there for my part. Thank you.
Okay, so on the table is the freeze for 4 years. There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion fails.
Commissioner Boyle, do you want to make a motion for the 0011 again? Yes. Is there a
consideration?
Is there a second? Second. Any further questions or comments?
So the vote is simply to reconsider, and then we can come back and vote on it. Okay.
Any questions or comments? Please vote.
Just a moment, please. Technical difficulties. Okay.
Spell check was creating a problem.
Commissioner Kraft. Motion for reconsideration passes.
Okay. Commissioner Boyle, would you like to offer your motion?
Excuse me. Yes, I would offer a 0011 for as the salary for these elected officials. I think, as I said before, I think 0 is for 4 years, 0% for 4 years is overreaching. And these, just want to add this comment too, that these raises, 0% for 2 years and 1% for 2 years, are really inherently unfair. And the things that I've talked about for employees has been inherently unfair as well. It's us getting nothing for 2 years is unfair as well. But in light of what's going on in the economy and the people that are struggling, I just think that we need to take that position. So without talking any more about that, I think that 0011 is about as close to being fair as we can get, unfortunately. So that's my offer. I offer 0011.
And I will second that.
Okay. Commissioner Duda?
Thank you. I intend to support it, but I would like to offer an amendment to that, and that is that the public defender alone, that single office be at 1111, a 1% increase each of the next 4 years, trying to keep the public defender a little bit closer to the county attorney. I would offer that as an amendment to the motion.
Is there a second to the amendment? The amendment dies for lack of...
I'll second the amendment.
Thank you, PJ.
Commissioner Boyle?
Well, I'm not going to support it. I actually, as I mentioned last week, I had a chance to talk to Tom Riley about it, and he just kind of shrugged it off. He says, that's the way it goes. He says, I just want my employees to get raises. So that's his attitude, which I said last week, and again, comes as no surprise. That's Tom Riley. But I would love to give him a 10% raise. He's doing a terrific job personally. I don't mean to make it personal, but he's fabulous. The other side of this is that we have other elected officials in this mix, one of whom is the only female elected official other than the commissioners in county government. And she's paid substantially less than the other office holders by maybe $10,000 to $12,000 a year. If we're going to do 1111, which I won't support, if we're going to do it, we ought to be doing it for all of them. I mean, the county clerk has done a terrific job and holds the line on budgets as well. So these are all good and efficient elected officials who deserve the increase, but it's just a question of resources. So as much as I admire the operations of that office, I won't support it.
Commissioner Morgan?
I was just going to say, when you were talking about Tom Riley, I've been down there on a Saturday, and he is here working. And he comes in.
He is.
And I'm sure there's a lot of others that do that are elected, and you really appreciate that and respect it. But, the only thing I'd say is I dislike voting against this very much.
Yeah.
But as a member of the Finance Committee with Mark, Mary Ann's been there all the time, we are in a really tough spot if we're going to try to not have a mill levy increase. And you have to start somewhere. And I look at myself included, our office, and other elected officials. If you're not happy with it, you don't have to run for it either. And you've said some of that, about our people. So it's just a tougher time, and I dislike voting against it.
Absolutely.
Because they deserve it, as you've said, Commissioner Boyle.
On the table is Commissioner Boyle's original motion of 0011 with Commissioner Duda's amendment of 1111 for the public defender only. Commissioner Kraft.
And are we going to vote on the amendment first?
Yes, there was a motion and a second for only a 1111 for the public defender, and that's what we would vote on now. I want to make a comment that we aren't voting a raise for that person.
Right.
We're voting on the office.
Yeah.
And while it's hard, we try to make things equal. We try to keep up with things, but we are in hard times, and we have to start somewhere with, unfortunately, saying no. And as elected officials, no matter what office you hold, we're at the head, and we should lead. And so I will be not supporting the amendment, but supporting Commissioner Boyle's reconsideration motion. So with that, please vote for the amendment to the motion of increasing the public defender by 1% each year.
Motion fails.
We now go back to the original motion of a 0011 1% increase for the public defender, register of deeds, and county clerk offices. Please vote.
Just a moment, please. Okay. Motion passes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
With that, we move on to the approval of the resolution setting the salaries for the deputy county attorneys. As you know, we have set salaries for the other employees. Now it's the chief deputies that we set for the county attorney's office. Those are listed in your packet. Is there a motion to approve?
Excuse me, I don't think
Yep.
these are chief deputies.
Not chief deputy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Deputy county attorneys. I
Right.
said that wrong. Sorry.
And what is this just, this is the blanket salary, there's no percentage involved?
We have to, by law, set the salaries
Okay.
of the county attorney's employees. That's
Okay.
the only office that we do this for.
Right. And aren't they lucky?
Yes. Commissioner Duda.
Quick question, is this money in the budget?
Yes.
Good morning, Don.
Morning, Don Klein,
Hi,
Douglas
Don.
County Attorney. Yeah, this is, every time we give an increase to any deputy county attorney, it has to come before you. We're the only office that does happen with.
Right.
That is, there's someone that left, Carrie Strover's left the office, so I took some of her money and I've given some increases to people who haven't gotten some raises that they're very deserved. This is money in the budget.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Tusha.
And how long is this effective for?
1 year.
1 year? Okay.
Right.
I'll
Thank
make
you.
a motion to approve.
Please vote.
Motion passes.
Next is the request for the 1% increase in salaries for the employees of the Douglas County Attorney's Office. Don.
Morning again. Don Klein, Douglas County Attorney. First of all, I with regard to this is about employees. This isn't about me or the chief deputy. It's about our employees. One good thing I'll throw out to the very beginning, because we have such good people that work in the Douglas County Attorney's Office. Kim Pankinen, one of our deputy county attorneys, was appointed by the governor today as a new district court judge. So I'd like to publicly congratulate her for that. But that's the kind of people that we have working for us. And I feel they don't have a collective bargaining unit. I am the representative of that office when it comes to those people that work for us. And there are people who have worked there for a number of years, many of the support staff and the attorneys there, and they're quality people, and they do a tremendous job. Whether it's Diane Carlson, Teresa Urich, you heard about her again today, Tim Dolan. You know, if we had to farm out to a private practice law firm the suit against Douglas County with regard to the sheriff's office, it would cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars that you would be paying out. But Tim Dolan's handling that with some of the other people in our civil division. As I said, you see how we handle our cases and the kind of people that we have. So I think it's imperative that I come before you, because they ask me, you know, you are a representative, Don, will you talk to the county board? Because they don't have any cost of living increases. They don't have any step increases. They don't have longevity pay. They are non-union, and they see that the non-union employees of the county, you voted, we got a 1% increase, so they say, why aren't we included in that as being non-union employees? And so, as I said, they're a group of tremendous people who do a good job providing the services that we provide for the county, and they've been told over the number of years, most of them have been here for a long time, hey, sometimes we have difficult times, ride out the hard times and be patient, and the board will recognize that, and you have. And in this case, there's a 1% increase that you voted on and approved, and they're saying, can we be included in that because we're non-union employees, which seems fair. But somehow we're excluded on that, so is the public defenders people, and I don't quite understand that. But I want to set this up by talking just a little bit about some things that you should be aware of. In Lancaster County, the starting salary for a deputy county attorney is $56,000 a year. In Sarpy County, the starting salary for a deputy county attorney is $54,000 a year. our starting salary for deputy county attorneys is $45,000 a year. That's what we pay. We have 22 people in my office that are lawyers that make less than the starting salary of the Lancaster County Attorney's Office, deputies. We have 20 lawyers in our office that make less than or equal to $54,000 a year, which is a starting salary in Sarpy County. Some of these people have been lawyers in my office for 6 years. So we have 9 attorneys in my office who are making $45,000 a year, the starting salary right now, which is $11,000 less than the starting salary of a deputy county attorney in Lancaster County. These are people that are handling murder cases, some of the most serious cases in the county. And I just want to make the board aware of that. I think it's very important that you're aware of it. And I think I need to speak for them because they question. They hear, unfortunately, some comments from the board, and I don't think it's and I'm not faulting anyone, and I don't disagree with some of the things that have been said, but it's like there was some meeting that they heard somebody from the board say, well, people don't like it, they can leave and find another job. Well, these are people who have worked very hard for Douglas County for a long time, and they don't want to leave Douglas County. Or they hear, well, they're foolish if they don't organize. Well, they don't want to organize, and I don't think they need to organize. They believe in what we do. They're working hard. They want to believe that you'll be supportive of them, and they don't think they need to go another route in order to get any increase. All they're saying is, hey, include us in the 1% of non-union employees. So, I just asked somebody the other day. We're applying to try and get some help. I've applied for grant money from the Crime Commission and have gotten it for the Violent Crime Unit, for a sexual assault unit on child victims, through the Highway Commission, and we've gotten those funding from those different other sources to have some grants to help provide those kinds of services. But one of the things I think you also need to recognize, these are people, or at least the lawyers they're professionals that have gone to law school. I had a question out with our folks about how much student loans they have, about $3 million in student loans, deputy county attorneys in our office, right now, for them going to law school and to help pay for their education. So these are folks that have a lot of debt from the standpoint of what they've tried to do to acquire the degrees that they have to be the professionals that they are. And so, that's tough for them too, they want to repay that money. There's other figures I could throw out, a starting, and I don't fault other people for this, but a deputy sheriff in their first 6 months of service is going to make, I think, $44,500, which is the same salary almost as a deputy county attorney that's starting out in this office. So we need to get some things done there. But all I'm asking you today here is to consider those folks, the support staff and the deputies, with the 1% non-union increase that you voted to give other non-union employees. These are non-union employees. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about that.
Don, thank you for that. And I was reading the resolution, and I do see that they're non-union employees. I do see that they're not receiving step increases, cost of living, longevity pay. And I have to congratulate you and your staff and your employees for the fantastic job that you do for Douglas County. And on that note, I will be voting for the 1%. Unfortunately, 1%'s not a lot. We cannot give them any more at this particular time. But I want to say thank you to them. I appreciate their hard work they do, everything that they do. And again, I will be voting for the 1%. Maybe later on in the future. And don't quote. Well,
and they understand that, and I think they work there because I think we provide great leadership in that office.
And they have a passion for it.
They do. They want to be a part of what we do there. So, and that's what I'm just asking is if we can consider them for that 1% that other non-union employees got.
And I will be voting for it, and I appreciate their hard work, their diligence, and their passion. And I thank you for standing up for them. That I'm sure that means a lot for them.
Any other
Commissioner
questions?
Boyle?
Yes, I'm going to be voting for this, and it's a departure from what I've done in the past, but I see, the no step increases and no cost of living and no longevity it's a big deal because a lot of the other employees that did get raises have those kicked in, and So I think this is where we ought to be on all of our relationships with the employees, is simply where we have, we don't have all these other things that kick in automatically under the radar. So I'll be voting for it, just as I hope my math's right, but the people who make $45,000 a year will be getting $450 a year more. Right. And when you start breaking that down by the months, it's $37.50 before taxes. So, this isn't, it's not a big expense. The other thing I want to mention is that I was in the room when those remarks were made. It was in I don't know exactly what meeting it was, Human Resources, and there were a lot of commissioners there, but my recollection is it wasn't a commissioner that made the comment. I certainly didn't. I'll speak for myself, and other commissioners can chime in if they wish, but I look upon employees as assets, and they're the people, the people who work for you, and you are the ones who really deliver the services to the taxpayers directly. You're where the rubber hits the road, and I know of your employees and their skills, and you're running a terrific office. You really are. And I don't know of an office that's really in the ditch. They're all well run. And yours is just a standout. So I don't want those employees to think that we're saying to them, well, if you don't like it, go somewhere else, because no one...
And I guess I know that's the case, that what you're just saying, and all of you collectively, but I wanted them to hear that.
Say it. Yeah.
And so that's why I even brought that up. Because I didn't think that was something that was the attitude that the board has, but I think they need to hear that, because they heard it from somewhere else.
That's
and
right.
Of course, then those kinds of things start.
You're exactly right, and that's just not my sentiment at all. And so I wish we had a pot of money that we could really pay you and your staff what you're worth.
And they understand that.
I'll be voting for it.
Commissioner Kraft?
Yes, I voted against the 1% across the board for the non-union employees, just because we're in tough times. I'm torn here. Take a Saturday Night Live stance here. When your office is successful, it costs us money because people get incarcerated. Okay. Okay. That's why I prefaced it with Saturday Night Live stance there. You do have quality employees. They do deserve a lot more. And you're right. If we were to farm it out, it would cost us a lot more. We have legal representation that is outstanding for the county. And we have that on both sides, on Tom Riley's side and on
Absolutely.
your side. And consistently I've been voting against these increases, and I believe I'm going to vote against this just to be consistent. But when times are good, these employees deserve way more than the 1%. And I mean way more. But right now, we're struggling with a $5 million or more deficit. And I'm just looking at pennies. At the same time, I don't want to vote against it and end up costing us more by having to farm out service and the cost of training and the cost of employee turnover. And I realize that's a cost. So do you know what the total cost of this 1% would be?
I think it'll probably be about $55,000, $60,000, right in that range. Is that about right?
Okay.
Joe? I think that's what it would be, somewhere right in there. Well,
you might have just convinced me to vote for it. I have to think this through.
I share your concern. I think just hearing from the board about this, because I'm concerned about losing people.
Yeah.
I know that some of our folks have been pursued by other people. They're good lawyers. They're good people, and I'm going to start losing people, and I don't want to see that happen.
What is the cost of training a new employee? Do you have an idea?
Well, we try and send them to one of the National District Attorney Association seminars, if they're depending if they're in civil practice or they're in the criminal division, and there's a learning curve, so it takes maybe 6 months to a year before they're really able to.
So it's pretty much a year's salary plus some training expenses.
Sure.
So for this amount, if you have one less turnover, it pays for itself.
Yes.
Okay. I believe, and I have to sort this through, I believe I can support it, but I really have to have another minute to think it through. Thank you.
Commissioner Duda?
Thank you. For many years, we've known for a long time that we are underpaying your staff relative to everybody around us, which is one of the fears of if they ever organized, the CIR could really hit us hard if we had to pay them what they're really worth and if somebody forced us to. And so I appreciate the cooperation of the employees, and not going that route and trying to work in a friendly manner rather than a confrontational manner. For many years, we were trying to give 5% raises, trying to catch them up, and we never did catch up. Hopefully, didn't get too much further behind, at least during that time period. But absolutely, we need to keep them competitive with the marketplace and keep them appropriately placed. My question, two questions. One is this in the budget? And the second question is, and I recognize the budget is a fairly fluid thing. We just a moment ago gave 6 of your attorneys raises, and although now the highest of those you just said is going to become a judge, so she won't be on there anymore. So I mean, I know your budget is fairly fluid. Will this 1% be in addition to what we just gave to these employees? It looks to me like it would. We gave them raises on November 1, and
right, and that's not money that I have. This 1% is not money that I have in my budget currently.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what my understanding is. This is a 1% that you were giving non-union employees. That wasn't part of. It wasn't part of a request I made last budget cycle, I guess, to have this 1%.
Okay. Question for Joe, if I may. The 1% raises that we gave recently, were those included in their budget, or did they come from another part of the budget?
They came from the salary adjustment, so they were not in their formal budget.
And that's where this would come from as well?
Yes.
And is there still adequate funding in there for this?
Yes.
Thank you. Good enough.
Any other?
Commissioner Morgan?
Well, I want to make sure I give Mark plenty of time. He's still thinking. I very much appreciated your comments, and I am going to support it. And decided that about your second paragraph into it, and I think that what Commissioner Boyle said is very important too. And I think we really have to do everything we can to continue to work to start to make it greater equity with the other counties around us. You brought out some great points that I wasn't aware of.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your service and the service of your people, so I'm going to be supporting it, just so you know.
Commissioner Kraft?
And I have to agree. I came in here expecting to vote no, and you've convinced me to vote yes.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You'd be a good attorney.
Maybe I'll have you present the resolution and hold my line so I can give you his yes.
But yes, we do have fantastic representation legally for the county. Great personalities, well educated, very effective, and thank you and your staff.
We're very fortunate to have the people that we do. So, thank you.
I do just want to make a clarification of the previous resolution was money that was currently in your budget that you moved to these individuals.
Right.
The resolution that we're on now is the money coming out of the money we have for salary increases for county employees.
Right.
I just want to make that clear.
Right. Thank you.
If you would like to come forward, and is there a motion and a second on the floor? No? Oh,
I thought there was.
Motion approved.
I'll say.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I just have another question. I'm new at this. I'm a novice.
Just state your name and
okay.
address again.
I'm Miss Celilia Alexander, 1031 Turner Boulevard,
Hi.
Omaha, Nebraska, 68105. Hello, everyone. I just have a question. Would any of the money, since the counties are going to stop being the payer of the last resort for the treatment and rehabilitation of the juvenile law violators, will any of that money go to salary increases, or where would that money go?
No, that issue is just a legislative item that we approved or discussed today to take to the legislature to wipe out of the statute that makes us the payer of last resort.
Right.
So, and to be totally honest with you, it is like the longest shot ever of that passing.
But I'm just saying, if it happens, where would that money go to? The increase of our competent employees? Where would it go?
Any money that's saved from that just goes into the general fund, and then when we do our budget, every year,
Mhm.
that's when we decide on where the money goes.
Okay.
So it doesn't automatically go to salary increases.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. There was a motion and a second. Any further, Commissioner Duda? No. Okay. Oh, sorry. Please vote.
Motion passes.
There is need for executive session for litigation purposes, but before we head into executive session, this is our last meeting of the year for 2011. We do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to everyone. While we may not be having a meeting for the rest of the year, you're still welcome to get a hold of us if need be. But seriously, I hope you all have a warm and happy, healthy, and safe Christmas, New Year, and holiday season. Commissioner Kraft?
You recall how I voted no to the adjournment earlier? If I vote no to the closed session, does that mean we don't get lawsuits?
No, because it would fail.
I've tried that, Mark.
Our next meeting is January 10th of 2012. Is there a motion to go into executive session for litigation? Second. Please vote.
Motion passes.
Say happy birthday to Kathy Kelly.
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kathy. Happy birthday to you. Already done that. You're way late.
What time do you have to leave for Lincoln?
You're
not going to luncheon?
No. I said
Who's
yes.
going?
Did you want to go?
No, because I want to sit down and sit with you for a few minutes before I have a county government awareness.
Oh,
because I'm
okay.
running that.
Motion passes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just, we'll be in a minute.
So I'm going to bypass on the lunch because I can't go. Pension.
Thanks.
Yeah, but I have...